Oh, well, hello. I am having a sip of my tea. It's so hot. I forgot to put an ice cube in it. I usually put like a couple ice cubes. What? My daughter is trying to ask me a question, and I don't even know what did you ask me? Pardon? What was it? Like if you can hear it? Okay. Anywho, how? Whatever. I am coming off of just a horrible migraine. Um, my first migraine of this pandemic, and I actually got super scared. Not scared. That sounds overly dramatic, but like worried because when my migraines aren't manageable, I usually go to the hospital and get help via medication that gets put into my body intravenously. Um, and I knew I couldn't go to the hospital. So I was like, kind of like a little bit panicky because I was just like staring down the barrel of this mounting horrible headache. And I knew that I wasn't going to get any help that way. So luckily, my nurse practitioner's office is amazing. And I was able to talk to one of the nurse practitioners over the phone. And she looked up to see what concoction of medication I usually get at the hospital. And they just had me come in. And I literally like walked in, got a shot in my bum, walked out, went home, went to bed. I think I was in bed last night by like 6:30. I didn't get out of bed till like 8:30 today, I think. So I'll make a little video for you. And it is yoga for headaches. So I'm not saying that this is like, if you have a migraine, this is not going to be helpful in the middle of a migraine. But like when you feel a headache coming on, if you're a headache person, you can usually tell which direction a headache is going. Like I've had, I would say my first migraine, I was 11. I stopped having them while I was pregnant and nursing, which is maybe one of the reasons we have so many kids because they're hormonal, obviously. They stopped with my pregnancies, my nursing hormones. Um, but other than that, like I've had a headache most days for as long as I can remember. I'm just a headache person. Uh, I'm sure that there is some underlying cause, which I have not yet found. Um, not from lack of trying, but I'm sure that there's something that's causing them that I just don't know of yet. But um, my migraines, um, like I can usually tell when something is a regular headache uh, or is staying in that realm, or when it's heading towards migraine. Sometimes if I take medication fast enough, I can stop the migraine, cut it off at the pass. Uh, and sometimes too, like when I do things like when I can feel that my headache is getting progressively worse and worse, I can do some things in addition to also taking medication that really are helpful. So one of the things I do is essential oils. Our headache blend that we use here at the studio, or sell at the studio, I guess, I use in my house and when I'm here, is what's in it? Black pepper. I'm probably going to forget a couple of the things. It's like black pepper, lavender, peppermint, basil, frankincense. That might be it. It might be all that's in our headache blend. But anyways, when I'm using this, like a lot of times if I feel a headache, like the onset of a headache, but it's not really a full blown headache yet, like I'll put it on my temples, kind of roll it across my hairline over to my other temple, back of my neck. I'll go right up and like right up into like the where my hair is, into my scalp. One of the places where our body is best able to absorb essential oils is in our scalp. Um, it travels in down the hair follicles and kind of gets into our our system faster. But you don't have to use like essential oils with it. Or if you're at your house and you have it, like peppermint is really nice. It has that cooling effect on your skin, um, and can help a little bit with like tense muscles. So we're going to start off our yoga for headaches practice by doing a little bit of self massage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this headache blend that I have here. I'm going to put a little bit on my fingers and rub my fingers together, my hands together. I'm going to pause and smell. Take a couple of breaths in. And take my fingers. So I basically concentrated the oil on my index finger and middle finger. Rub up the back of my neck. So when I'm going in behind, I'm rubbing up, I'm pulling, and then up, I'm pulling, and then down. Do that a couple of times. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our two fingers in behind us, way up until we feel we can't go any higher up our spine, kind of where our spine attaches up and where our spine and skull meet. I'm going to go all the way up there. I'm going to kind of push my fingers in, pause, and then tilt my head back. I'm going to come all the way back up and walk my fingers just a little bit down, like one of my vertebrae down. My fingers are either side. They're not on my spine. They're either side of my spine. Pause. Tilt my chin up. Breathe. All the way back. My fingers down. Pause. Lift my head up. All the way back down. I'm going to pause. I'm going to take my hand over. And I'm just going to kind of rub. Two fingers still are the pushing ones down. Turn to the side here a little bit. I'm going to come in my hairline. I'm going to come down. And just do that a couple of times. And kind of come through different areas. Switch. Do the same thing on the other side. And then we can pause. I'm going to take my hands down towards the floor. So I have super short arms. I'm sitting on a little pillow or I'm sitting on a little bolster, but if we're at home, you might be sitting on a little pillow. You'd be sitting right on the floor. So my hands don't really reach flat to the ground here, but yours might. I'm going to start by letting my head come over to one side. I massaged this side of my neck first, so I'm going to stretch this side of my neck first. So I'm going to let my ear go towards my shoulder. And then a couple of times, I'm just going to put my chin towards the ground and then up to the ceiling. Next time I come back here, I'm going to pause. I want to focus the stretch more on the back of my neck because that's where I'm the most tight. But you might find other spots around the side of your neck that feel tighter. If you find the spot you want to stretch the most, come uh, and hold a stretch there. And then an option here is to take the hand up, and I'm not pulling my head down at all, but I'm just resting the weight of my hand onto my head a little bit. And come all the way back up. The same thing the other side. So I'm going to let my ear come towards my shoulder, and then chin up and down. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to keep my chin towards the floor because that's where I'm feeling the nicest stretch. Other hand can come up and over. And again, I'm not pulling down with my hand. I'm just letting my hand relax. My arm, I guess, soften while my head rests on the back and side of my head. And come all the way back up. A couple of times here, I'm just going to shift my head side to side. So without having my head tilted, turn. The other way. All the way back to center. Just a couple of times I'm going to slowly lift my chin and then tuck my chin. I'm going to pause with my chin tucked down. I'm going to interlace my fingers, and I'm just like I did when I was going side to side. I'm just going to let my hands relax onto my head, and it's going to add a little bit of extra weight, but I'm not going to pull. I'm going to release my hands. I'm going to let my chin stay dropped down, and I'm just going to go side to side again. all the way back up. I'm going to take my hands, and I need to find my skin. I'm going to take it and have thumb and index finger rest on my collarbones. Try not to pull on my necklace. And then second hand is going to come on top of the first hand. They're going to push in and pull down. And then I'm going to lift my chin again up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to make some movements with our chin. And you can make lots of different kinds of movements. So I'm going to start by probably, I'm going to think about like drawing a rainbow when I move. So I'm going to do like a little movement like this with my chin. And then I'm going to make a figure eight one direction and then reverse the direction of the figure eight. So I'm going to go up, turn, and I'm going to start to draw a little rainbow. The whole time that I'm doing this movement, I'm still doing that slight pull down with my hands. I'm going to switch to figure eight. Move high, switch the direction. And all the way back to center. And stop. So we're going to move into just a couple of restorative poses. So just like I did in some of the other videos that I posted, for the ease of my own ease, I guess, with not having to deal with such a big video size, because I'm still suddenly a little bit technically challenged when dealing with these large files. So for that, and then also so that you can really customize it so that you can be in the poses as long as you want to be without fiddling around. If you have a timer on your phone or computer, whatever you're watching us on, you can use the timer that you already have. I really love the Insight Timer. It's a free app. There's you can pay for additional sounds and things like that, but you don't have to. The free sounds are pretty good. It sounds like a little gong when you're coming out, or like a bowl when you're coming out of your posture. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite poses here for when I'm wanting to relieve the headache that's coming on. So one of the things we just did, we spent a lot of time really kind of stretching out and working the muscles in the back of our neck. We also did the sides of our neck and the fronts of our neck. But I'm going to come into child's pose as my next pose. So one of the things when I'm feeling headachy that I like about child's pose is the pressure on my forehead. So if not everyone's body is going to do child's pose the same way. There are 100 million variations the way that child's pose is going to look in 100 million different people. But when I'm focusing on a headache, I really like having the pressure on my forehead. So if you don't have if you don't have the ability to bring your forehead to the floor when you're in child's pose, bring the floor up to your head. So that might mean stacking books one on top of the other until it's high enough that your forehead can rest on it. You could use something, I just grabbed this little stool because it's what I had the closest to me when I started to make this video. You could use this. If you have like a little step stool at your house, you could use that. If you have a chair, you could use the seat of a chair to rest your head on, a couch, a table. We just kind of make do with what we have at home. But anyways, I'm going to turn around like this. I'm going to keep this on my knees here. Another thing that you could do if this is something that's accessible to you, sometimes when we're practicing in the studio, we take our eye pillows and heat them up in the microwave. Sometimes the feeling of that um, the warmth of the heated up eye pillow on the back of my neck when I'm doing this feels incredible. So if you have something that's warm, alternately, when I woke up today, I still had my headache from yesterday. It hadn't completely, it was slightly better, but it hadn't gone away completely. One of the things I did was have a super hot bath with a Dr. Teal's Epsom salt bubble bath, really hot, and then I had an ice pack at the back and side of my head. My migraines are always on my right side, so I had an ice pack there. When I got out of the bath, that felt a lot better too. So if ice feels better on your neck here and not heat, you do what works for you. You can do nothing too. So coming into child's pose, I really like having my knees nice and far apart. It feels a lot more comfortable for me when I'm in child's pose. You might find that it's more comfortable for you to have your knees together. You might find that when you come into child's pose, your bum doesn't come all the way down to your heels, and that's fine. You might find that the tops of your feet aren't flat. A couple of ways that we can support either of those. If the top of your foot doesn't like that feeling of being on the ground, there's a gap in between the front of your ankle and the floor, and it's not comfortable, we can roll our blanket to support so that it still feels that pressure of something being on it where the muscles can relax. Another thing we can do if our butt doesn't come all the way down to our heels is we could take like a pillow or a rolled up blanket or a rolled up towel and put it underneath our bum. Nice wide knees for me. You decide what feels best for you. And then I'm going to bring my forehead all the way down to the ground and just pause. So you could stay in this pose for, I would suggest trying to stay here for at least 5 minutes, but you could stay here from anywhere from 5 minutes up to like 10 minutes. And so once you've kind of played around a little bit and found the most comfortable variation of this pose for yourself right now, then you can pause this video, start your timer, and sit in child's pose for as long as you'd like to. Slowly come all the way back up, taking my time. I'm going to come all the way back up. I'm going to grab my stool here for the next pose. So this is where you might use like a chair or something like that. Again, you could use stacks of books if you stack them up high enough. So I really want to still, in this pose, get that pressure on my forehead. So when I'm coming into this pose, one of the things I could do if I have like a stool or chair in front of me, if the seat is too low and coming down like this doesn't feel nice, I could stack my forearms and come down. I could stack my fists and come down. If this does feel nice, I could rest like this. If you have the ability in your body to fold a little bit deeper, you could, that's where you could maybe have like books stacked, or you can like stack your fists one on top of each other on the ground and rest your forehead here. I'm going to go right about here. It's felt pretty nice. Find a relaxing position for my arms. You could also cover up with like a blanket or something here if you really wanted to. Take a couple of breaths. And then again here, you can set a timer for whatever length you want to be in this pose for, and pause the video. I would suggest again here, maybe 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Coming all the way back up out of this. You can pause, take a couple of breaths. If your eyes are wanting to be closed still, you can keep them closed. And I'm going to get ready to come into my last little pose here. So I'm going to grab something really quick and I'll be right back. One of the things that we use at the studio here quite often are sandbags. So I don't know if you have a sandbag at your house, but the next thing I'm going to show you, you'll need a blanket and something that has some weight to it. And it could be something that you wrap up into a blanket if that's comfortable, whatever. But 1 second. Okay, so I have grabbed 2 blocks, and you can use books stacked up. I've got the 2 blocks here, so I want it to be tall, like at least as tall as my head when I'm lying down. I'm going to take this blanket here and how am I folding this? I don't know why I can think of this right now. I just drew a blank. Fold it almost all the way down. Okay, so I'm back. I grabbed a couple of blocks. You could also use a stack of books if you're at home and you don't have blocks available. I grabbed a sandbag for some weight, have my woven blanket. So this is kind of folded like in half, in half again. I'm going to fold it so this edge comes almost all the way down to the little ruffles. And I'm going to fold this down. And I'm going to take this and kind of tuck it under. So I'm almost making like a little funnel. Take this and tuck it under for my head. And I roll it. Once I get onto my back, I can play around with that and see if I want it to be a different position. So I'm thinking of like my neck coming in here and then this coming out so it really cradles my head. Once I get that set up, I've got my sandbag right beside me. Actually, I'm going to go this way. So this is going to be our Shavasana. Or you could use this as like a little Shavasana before your Shavasana. Like if you find that the weight on your head is a little bit much, you can always do it for a couple of minutes, take it off, and come into rest pose, whatever way is the most comfortable for you. But so I'm going to come down and move my bun. It's just in the wrong spot. I'm going to find here, roll them in a little bit more. My handbag, my blocks, I'm going to tuck right in towards the top of my head. I'm going to take this sandbag. I'm going to bring it all the way down to rest right on the space in between my eyes. Arms can come down. I'm going to keep my knees bent. It's feeling really nice. You could also stretch your legs out if you wanted to. And you could lie in this rest pose here for as long as you wanted. I would say between 5 and 15 minutes would be nice. And then when you are feeling ready, you just start your timer and spend the desired amount of time here. And thank you so much for practicing with me. And I'll see you again soon.